Security! Remove her!
Security, we've got a trespasser in the main lobby. Get this woman out immediately before she bothers our actual guests. Hotel manager Linda Hayes' voice rang through the marble corridors of the Royal Paradise Hotel. She stood blocking Rachel Morgan from reaching the elevators, pointing at her like she carried some disease. Rachel stayed perfectly still in her flawless charcoal suit, black leather briefcase held close to her chest. Wealthy white guests gathered in a half-circle, phones already out recording what they assumed would be another viral moment for their feeds. Hayes turned to the growing audience, her voice dripping with fake concern. These types believe fancy clothing gives them entry to our establishment. Security will show her to the back entrance where she truly belongs. The lobby filled with whispered agreement. Rachel's eyes remained fixed on Hayes' face, watching her with an eerie, almost dangerous stillness. Have you ever been judged simply by how you look before anyone cared to discover who you actually are? Hayes' perfectly manicured finger pointed toward the hotel's rear exit. The staff uses the service door. Surely somebody taught you that simple respect. Two security officers appeared from behind marble columns, hands hovering over their weapons. The bigger one, a thick-shouldered man named Martinez, spoke into his radio. Alert in the main lobby. Possible unauthorized entry situation. Rachel glanced at her Cartier watch. The platinum surface caught the chandelier's glow. 9 minutes until my scheduled meeting upstairs. What meeting? Hayes' laugh was sharp and theatrical. Ma'am, your only appointment is with the pavement outside. A young woman near the front desk held up her phone, streaming live. Emily Foster whispered to her viewers, "This is crazy. This hotel manager is literally forcing out a black professional for absolutely no reason." The viewer numbers climbed rapidly. 873, 1,250, 2,918. Hayes noticed the cameras and performed for them. Ladies and gentlemen, observe what occurs when certain individuals believe designer copies give them access to luxury spaces. The crowd voiced approval. A silver-haired gentleman in tennis whites nodded firmly. Well done, dear. Standards are important. Rachel's briefcase shifted slightly, showing a glimpse of platinum plastic, a keycard with a magnetic strip. She tucked it deeper inside the leather folder before others could see. Her phone vibrated. The screen illuminated. Legal team ready for takeover announcement. Conference room prepared. Hayes' eyes narrowed, trying to read the notification. Probably her parole officer following up. More phones emerged. The lobby became an impromptu film set with Rachel as the unwilling subject. Someone launched a Facebook live stream. Another posted to TikTok with the caption, "Karen Manager versus Entitled Guest." Martinez stepped closer, his colleague positioning himself beside Rachel's right side. "Ma'am, you must leave willingly or we'll remove you." "I understand your confusion," Rachel said, her voice barely louder than a whisper. "But I recommend you confirm my appointment before taking irreversible steps." Hayes' face reddened. "Irreversible, sweetheart. The only thing irreversible here is the harm to this hotel's image if we allow random people to waltz through our entrance. Where are you from? Tell us in the comments below. And if you're loving this story, hit that like button and subscribe for more." The livestream viewers multiplied rapidly. Foster kept her phone steady, narrating for her expanding audience. The woman is requesting them to verify something, but they refuse to listen. This is becoming really disturbing. Comments poured in. "Notify the media. This is pure racism. Hotel name? Let's destroy their reviews. That lady appears too composed. Something's coming." A hotel guest who blogs, Marcus Turner, typed frantically on his tablet near the bar. His article titled "Discrimination Happening Live." Royal Paradise's disgraceful moment was already collecting shares across hospitality forums. Hayes sensed her viral opportunity and increased her performance. "I've worked luxury hotels for 13 years. I can identify someone who doesn't belong from across the room. This woman," she gestured dismissively at Rachel, "is obviously here for some type of scheme or charity request." Rachel opened her briefcase just enough to peek inside. Beyond the platinum keycard, several papers were visible. One letterhead displayed Morgan Hospitality Group in sophisticated script. Another showed legal signatures and official stamps. She closed the briefcase before Hayes could focus on the specifics. 7 minutes remaining, Rachel said, checking her watch again. 7 minutes until what? Martinez demanded. Until your fantasy meeting with Santa Claus. The security guards moved to completely surround her. The crowd pressed nearer. Phones raised high. Foster's viewer count reached 9,000. Local news notifications pinged on devices throughout the city. Viral discrimination event happening at Royal Paradise Hotel. Hayes' confidence peaked. She'd manufactured the ideal social media moment, the courageous hotel manager defending standards against entitled troublemakers. Her performance was perfect, her authority unchallenged. Ladies and gentlemen, Hayes proclaimed to the cameras, this demonstrates how we preserve the integrity of luxury service. Some individuals believe loud indignation earns them special privileges. She returned to Rachel with theatrical sympathy. Sweetheart, whatever discount deal you think you possess, whatever complaint you're preparing to submit, whatever activism campaign you're launching, none of that functions here. This is private property with private requirements. Rachel's phone buzzed again. This time the caller identification was visible. Thompson, Gerald, GM, Royal Paradise. Hayes saw the name and laughed. Oh, now you're contacting my supervisor? How adorable. Gerald Thompson has been general manager here for 16 years. He'll confirm exactly what I'm telling you. The phone stopped vibrating. Rachel didn't answer. 5 minutes, she said quietly. Martinez's radio crackled. All units, we have media focus on our situation. Handle with proper discretion. Foster's livestream exploded beyond 16,000 viewers. The hashtag Royal Paradise Racism began trending locally. Screenshots of Rachel's calm dignity contrasted against Hayes' theatrical aggression spread across Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. But something in Rachel's composure disturbed the smarter observers. She stood too motionless, too confident. Her eyes held information that didn't fit her supposed situation. Hayes missed these subtleties completely, intoxicated by her viral performance and crowd validation. Security, she commanded with flourish. Please remove this woman from the building. Use the rear exit and record everything for our incident documentation. The guards advanced closer. Phones captured every angle. Foster's audience reached 19,000 viewers with comments flowing too rapidly to track. Rachel remained perfectly motionless, briefcase clutched against her chest, observing Hayes with the patience of someone who knew precisely how this tale would conclude. General Manager Gerald Thompson exploded through the executive elevator entrance, his silver hair immaculately styled despite the urgency. 16 years of luxury hotel management had trained him to project absolute control in emergency situations. What's the situation here? Thompson's voice boomed across the marble lobby. Hayes straightened, energized by her superior's arrival. Gerald, thank goodness. This woman refuses to leave after I explain she doesn't belong here. She's been disruptive for nearly 11 minutes. Thompson studied Rachel with practiced evaluation. Designer suit, costly accessories, confident bearing. But his biases matched Hayes' assumptions. Ma'am, I'm Gerald Thompson, General Manager. I understand you're confused about hotel rules, but private businesses maintain certain expectations. Foster's livestream reached 23,000 viewers. Her whispered commentary became breathless. Now the general manager arrived. This is escalating so quickly. Comments exploded. Contact the attorneys. Somebody notify the NAACP. This hotel is finished. Why does she appear so calm, though? Rachel checked her watch. 6 minutes remaining. 6 minutes until what? Thompson demanded, his patience disappearing. Whatever appointment you believe exists, I can guarantee it doesn't exist in my hotel. Martinez stepped closer, hand now clearly resting on his weapon. His partner, Williams, moved to prevent any escape route toward the elevators. The semicircle of recording guests tightened around Rachel like a trap. Sir Martinez reported, subject has been non-compliant for 13 minutes, claims to have an appointment upstairs. No proof provided. Thompson nodded approvingly. Security procedures exist for valid reasons. Ms. Morgan, Rachel replied simply. Miss Morgan, I've managed this property for 16 years. Every authorized guest is registered through our database. Every business meeting is pre-cleared by my office. You're not in our records. A ripple of satisfaction passed through the crowd. Thompson's authority appeared absolute, his reasoning unquestionable. Several guests nodded approvingly, their phones still recording what they perceived as justified enforcement of hotel standards. Marcus Turner, the blogger near the bar, typed furiously on his tablet. His article had already gained 923 shares across hospitality forums. Industry professionals were beginning to comment, most supporting Thompson's position on security procedures. His piece titled When Hotels Must Establish Boundaries was gaining momentum among property management circles. Foster's viewer count climbed, 29,000, 32,000, 36,000. Local news vehicles were arriving outside. A Channel 7 reporter messaged her producer. Live discrimination incident at Royal Paradise getting massive social media attention. Need camera crew immediately. Hayes sensed momentum and pressed harder. Gerald, she keeps mentioning some mysterious appointment. Won't provide specifics, won't leave peacefully. She's obviously running some type of social media scam for publicity. The accusation hung in the air like poison. Several guests nodded knowingly, familiar with viral discrimination hoaxes they'd seen debunked online. I need precisely 3 minutes to resolve this situation, Rachel said, her voice remaining unnaturally calm. Thompson scoffed, you have 0 minutes, this is private property and you're trespassing. He turned to Martinez, contact Metro Police, file a formal trespassing complaint. The crowd pressed closer, phones capturing every angle. An elderly woman in pearls whispered loudly, finally someone with backbone. Standards matter in civilized places. A middle-aged businessman adjusted his Rolex and spoke up. I pay premium prices for this hotel specifically because they maintain exclusivity. Good for you, Thompson. Martinez pulled out his radio. Dispatch, we need a unit at Royal Paradise Hotel, 2000 West End Avenue. Trespassing in progress. Subject refusing to comply, requesting backup for potential media situation. Foster's audience exploded beyond 41,000. The hashtag Royal Paradise Discrimination was trending nationwide. Screenshots flooded Twitter showing the stark contrast. A composed black businesswoman surrounded by aggressive white hotel staff and approving white guests. But social media cut both directions. Counter-narratives emerged in real time. Hotels have security rules for a reason. Why won't she simply show identification and prove her appointment? Probably another staged discrimination publicity stunt. I support this hotel's right to maintain standards. Thompson read some comments over shoulders, gaining confidence from supporters. Ladies and gentlemen, observe responsible hospitality management. We cannot compromise security for social media theater. A well-dressed couple near the concierge area applauded. The woman, covered in diamonds, spoke loudly enough for the cameras. This is precisely why we choose establishments like this. They don't surrender to pressure tactics. Rachel's phone buzzed. Legal team, board members arriving early. Status update needed immediately. She didn't answer, but Thompson glimpsed the screen. Legal team, now you're threatening lawsuits. How predictable. Another shakedown attempt disguised as social justice. 2 minutes remaining, Rachel said quietly. The lobby had transformed into a circus. Hotel guests abandoned their check-ins to record the confrontation. Foster's live-stream viewers reached 46,000. News helicopters circled overhead, their cameras capturing the scene from above. Police sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. Martinez's radio crackled. Unit 52 responding to Royal Paradise. ETA 3 minutes. Be advised, media presence confirmed on location. Hear that? Hayes announced to the cameras, her voice rising with theatrical triumph. Police are arriving. This charade ends now. Thompson stepped directly in front of Rachel, invading her personal space with deliberate intimidation. His cologne was overpowering, his presence aggressive. I don't know what game you're playing, but it stops here. 16 years managing luxury properties taught me to identify troublemakers instantly. Several guests murmured approval. A man in a golf shirt raised his phone higher, ensuring he captured Thompson's authoritative stance. This is how real leaders handle entitled behavior, he announced to his own social media followers. Rachel remained motionless, but something shifted in her eyes. The patience was hardening into something more dangerous, more calculating. You mentioned troublemakers, she said softly. In your 16 years, how many discrimination lawsuits has this property faced? Thompson's face flushed. None, because we maintain professional standards and don't tolerate disruption from people trying to exploit racial tensions for personal benefit. Interesting, Rachel murmured almost to herself. Foster caught the exchange on her stream. Comments exploded. She knows something. This lady has intelligence. Plot twist coming. Why does she seem so confident? Something's about to happen. A hotel attorney watching Foster's livestream from his downtown office frantically tried calling Thompson. The phone rang unanswered. Thompson was too focused on his public performance to notice the vibration in his pocket. Williams, the second security guard, shifted nervously. Something about Rachel's composure bothered him. In 13 years of hotel security, he'd never encountered someone so calm while surrounded and threatened. His instincts screamed warnings that his training couldn't explain. Ma'am, Williams said quietly, if you have legitimate business here, just show us some documentation. We can resolve this peacefully. Hayes shot him a withering look. Williams, don't negotiate with people trying to manipulate us. That's exactly what they want, doubt, confusion, weakness. Thompson agreed emphatically. Absolutely not. She's had 16 minutes to provide credentials. Time's expired. We don't negotiate with social media scammers. Outside, police cars arrived with sirens blaring. Foster's viewer count reached 48,000. The local news van parked directly outside the main entrance, reporters rushing toward the lobby with cameras rolling and microphones ready. 1 minute, Rachel said, checking her watch one final time. The crowd sensed climax approaching. Phones captured every breath, every facial expression, every muscle movement. Thompson and Hayes basked in their authority, certain of victory, riding high on crowd approval and social media support from their defenders. Martinez moved to physically restrain Rachel. Ma'am, place your hands behind your back. You're under citizen's arrest for trespassing. But Rachel stepped away from him smoothly, moving toward the marble reception desk with fluid grace. Her briefcase remained clutched against her chest like armor, like a secret weapon waiting to be deployed. One final opportunity, she said to Thompson, her voice carrying across the silent lobby with crystalline clarity. Are you certain you want to proceed with this course of action? Thompson laughed for the cameras, his confidence absolute. Absolutely certain. Someone like you should learn there are consequences for thinking expensive clothes grant access to establishments with standards. The phrase someone like you echoed through the marble space like a gunshot. Foster's livestream comments went insane. The crowd held its collective breath, sensing something momentous approaching. Rachel nodded slowly as if Thompson had just confirmed something she'd been waiting to hear all along. She placed her briefcase on the reception desk and looked directly into Foster's camera. Her eyes held knowledge that made seasoned observers suddenly uncomfortable, suddenly aware they might be witnessing something unprecedented. Time's expired, she said quietly. Then she opened the briefcase. Rachel's fingers moved with surgical precision, extracting a single document from her briefcase. The paper was heavy, cream-colored, bearing multiple official stamps and signatures. She placed it face down on the marble reception desk. The lobby fell silent, except for the soft hum of recording phones and distant sirens. Thompson stepped forward confidently. expecting to debunk whatever fabricated credentials this woman had prepared. Let me guess, fake business cards, forged hotel reservations. We've seen every scam in the book. Hayes smirked at the cameras. This should be entertaining. Foster's livestream audience reached 53,000 viewers. Comments flooded the screen faster than human eyes could track. The tension was suffocating, electric. Rachel flipped the document over. Thompson's eyes found the letterhead first. Morgan Hospitality Group, Corporate Acquisition Division. His confident smile faltered as he read the bold text beneath. Controlling Interest Acquisition, Royal Paradise Hotels International. The paper slipped from his suddenly trembling fingers. Hayes leaned over his shoulder, reading aloud before her brain could process the implications. Effective September 10, 2026, Morgan Hospitality Group has acquired 74% controlling interest in Royal Paradise Hotels through. Her voice died mid-sentence. Martinez caught the document as it fluttered toward the floor. His eyes scanned the legal jargon, the signatures, the official stamps. Sir, this looks authentic. It can't be, Thompson whispered, but his face had drained of all color. Rachel's voice cut through the chaos with ice-cold precision. I am Rachel Morgan, Chief Executive Officer of Morgan Hospitality Group. As of 10 o'clock this morning, my company owns controlling interest in this property. The words hit the lobby like a shockwave. Foster's phone nearly slipped from her trembling hands. Oh my God, she whispered to her 59,000 viewers. She owns the hotel. She literally owns the hotel they just threw out. Comments exploded. Plot twist of the century. She's the owner. This is insane. They're so fired. Holy. Thompson staggered backward, his 16 years of authority crumbling in seconds. That's impossible. I would have been notified. The board would have informed me. Rachel retrieved a second document from her briefcase. A board meeting agenda. The notification meeting was scheduled for 4 o'clock this afternoon in the penthouse conference room, the same appointment I mentioned repeatedly. Hayes' face contorted as reality crashed down. You're lying. This is some elaborate hoax. Gerald, tell her she's lying. But Thompson couldn't speak. He stared at the acquisition papers, recognizing the signatures of board members, the seal of Royal Paradise's parent company, the legal formatting that couldn't be faked. Martinez stepped away from Rachel, his hand moving off his weapon. Ma'am, we didn't know. Of course you didn't know, Rachel replied calmly. That was rather the point of your colleague's behavior, wasn't it? Assumptions based on appearance rather than verification of facts. Williams, the second security guard, read over Martinez's shoulder. 13 years of hotel security had taught him to recognize authentic corporate documents. The watermarks, the legal language, the multiple notarizations. This was real. Foster's livestream audience reached 66,000. News helicopters circled overhead like vultures. The hashtag Royal Paradise Owner was trending globally. A well-dressed woman in the crowd, the same one who'd applauded Thompson earlier, slowly lowered her phone. Gerald, is this real? Does she actually own this place? Thompson's voice cracked. I need to make some calls. No, Rachel said firmly, you need to listen. She produced a third document, thicker than the others, bound in legal blue backing. Morgan Hospitality Group's acquisition included comprehensive due diligence on all properties. Your employment history, Mr. Thompson, makes for fascinating reading. Thompson's face went from pale to gray. What do you mean? Sexual harassment settlement 2019. Hushed up by corporate. Discrimination complaint 2021, also buried. And today's performance, Rachel gestured to the phone still recording, witnessed by 68,000 people and counting. The lobby audience began stepping away from Thompson as if he'd become toxic. Their phones continued recording, but the narrative had completely flipped. Hayes tried to salvage the situation. This is insane. Even if she owns part of the hotel, we were following security procedures. We had no way of knowing. You had every opportunity to verify my appointment, Rachel replied. Instead, you chose humiliation as your first response. Foster's viewer count reached 72,000. Local news crews pushed through the hotel entrance, cameras rolling, reporters shouting questions. Miss Morgan, can you comment on the acquisition? How long have you owned this property? What's your response to the discrimination incident? Rachel ignored the reporters, focusing on Thompson. Section 13.4 of our acquisition agreement specifically addresses incidents of bias, discrimination, or harassment by management personnel. Thompson's hands shook as he reached for the document. Section 13.4, immediate termination for cause. No severance, no references, complete forfeiture of pension benefits. The words hit like physical blows. Thompson's 16-year career, his reputation, his retirement, all evaporating in real time. Hayes' voice rose to hysteria. This is a setup. She planned this whole thing. It's entrapment. Planning what? Rachel asked with devastating calm. Planning to walk into my own hotel. Planning to attend my own board meeting. The only plan here was yours, to humiliate someone you deemed unworthy. A hotel board member materialized from the elevator bank. Patricia Foster, no relation to the live streamer. She approached Rachel with obvious deference. Miss Morgan, my sincerest apologies. We've been waiting in the conference room. When you didn't arrive, we became concerned. Thompson's legs nearly gave out. If board members were here confirming Rachel's identity, confirming the acquisition. Patricia, Rachel said without taking her eyes off Thompson, please meet Gerald Thompson, your soon-to-be former general manager, and Linda Hayes, your former front-of-house manager. Patricia Foster's face showed genuine shock as she processed the scene. The cameras, the crowd, the obvious confrontation. What happened here? Mr. Thompson and Miss Hayes decided that my appearance disqualified me from entering my own property. They called security, threatened arrest, and performed their bigotry for social media. Patricia's face darkened. Gerald, please tell me this isn't what it looks like. Thompson opened his mouth, but no words came. Hayes made one final desperate play. Patricia, you know me. I've worked here for 9 years. I was protecting the hotel's reputation. How was I supposed to know she was? Black, Rachel finished quietly. The word hung in the air, like an accusation that couldn't be denied. Foster's livestream reached 79,000 viewers. The comment section was pure chaos, but one message kept repeating. This is legendary. Martinez and Williams exchanged glances. Both men had families, mortgages, careers to protect. Martinez spoke first. Ma'am, Miss Morgan, we were following orders from management. We didn't make assumptions about. You drew weapons on the owner of this property, Rachel interrupted. You threatened to arrest me for trespassing in my own building. Williams stepped forward. Ma'am, if there's anything we can do to make this right. There is, Rachel said. She opened her briefcase one final time, retrieving a tablet computer. This contains security footage from the last 31 minutes. Every word, every gesture, every moment of this incident. Thompson's face went ashen. Security footage meant corporate liability, legal exposure, insurance implications. But here's what's interesting, Rachel continued, her voice carrying across the silent lobby. The cameras also caught something else. Something Mr. Thompson doesn't know about yet. She tapped the tablet screen. A video began playing, security footage from 3 hours earlier showing Thompson in his office speaking on the phone. Thompson's voice echoed from the tablet speakers. I don't care what the acquisition papers say. These Morgan hospitality people think they can just waltz in here and change everything. Well, they'll learn what real hospitality management looks like. The lobby erupted. Foster's livestream audience exploded beyond 86,000. Thompson's own words condemned him completely. Hayes stared at her boss in horror. Gerald, what did you do? But Thompson was beyond response. He stood frozen, watching his career implode in real time, witnessed by nearly 91,000 people and growing. Rachel closed the tablet and returned it to her briefcase. The board meeting can now proceed. Mr. Thompson, Ms. Hayes, security will escort you from the premises. Patricia Foster stepped forward. Ms. Morgan, on behalf of the board, I offer our deepest apologies. This behavior is absolutely unacceptable and doesn't represent our values. It represents exactly your values, Rachel replied quietly. Until now. She turned to face Foster's camera directly, addressing the 92,000 viewers watching history unfold. Change doesn't happen with quiet dignity. It happens when power confronts prejudice and prejudice loses. The lobby fell completely silent, except for the soft sound of recording phones and distant sirens. Thompson finally found his voice. Rachel, Ms. Morgan, I made a mistake, a terrible mistake, but 16 years of service. 16 years of exactly this behavior. Rachel cut him off. The difference is today it was recorded. She closed her briefcase and walked toward the elevator bank. The crowd parted before her like water. At the elevator doors, she turned back one final time. The board meeting will proceed as scheduled. New management policies will be implemented immediately. This property will become a model for inclusive hospitality, because today everyone learned what happens when assumptions meet reality. The elevator doors opened. Foster's livestream reached 96,000 viewers as Rachel Morgan, CEO, owner, and the woman they'd tried to throw out, stepped into her own elevator in her own hotel. The doors closed behind her, leaving chaos, careers in ruins, and nearly 100,000 witnesses to what would become legendary. The penthouse conference room buzzed with tension as Rachel Morgan entered, flanked by her legal team. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, but all eyes focused on the woman who just delivered the most viral corporate comeuppance in hospitality history. 8 board members sat around the mahogany conference table, tablets and documents spread before them. Patricia Foster gestured to the head chair, Rachel's chair now, as controlling shareholder. Before we address the acquisition details, Rachel said, settling into her seat, we need to discuss the liability incident that just occurred downstairs. Her chief legal counsel, Nathan Martinez, no relation to hotel security, opened his briefcase. The discrimination event was witnessed by 98,000 live-stream viewers, recorded by multiple phones, and captured on hotel security cameras. We're looking at potential federal civil rights violations. Board member Christopher Davis shifted uncomfortably. Miss Morgan, while Gerald Thompson's behavior was inappropriate, surely we can handle this internally without. Without what? Rachel's voice cut like steel. Without accountability, without consequences, without acknowledging that your former general manager's actions could have cost this company millions. She activated the room's presentation screen, displaying real-time data. In the 31 minutes since this incident began trending, Royal Paradise Hotel's stock price dropped 5.1%. That represents $44 million in market value. The numbers silenced the room. Current social media reach, 2.5 million impressions across platforms. Sentiment analysis, 88% negative. Boycott hashtags trending in 15 major markets. Board member Jennifer Park leaned forward. How do we contain this? We don't contain it, Rachel replied firmly. We own it, we fix it, and we ensure it never happens again. Nathan Martinez distributed legal documents to each board member. Section 13.4 of the acquisition agreement specifically addresses discrimination incidents. Mr. Thompson's termination is mandatory, not optional. Davis scanned the paperwork, his face growing pale as he read the legal implications. Termination for cause eliminates his severance package, pension vesting, even his health insurance continuation. That seems harsh. Harsh? Rachel's eyebrows rose. Mr. Davis, let me share some harsh realities. The hospitality industry faces approximately $2.5 billion annually in discrimination-related lawsuits. Properties with documented bias incidents see average revenue drops of 19% within 6 months. She clicked to the next slide, revealing Thompson's employment history in devastating detail. Thompson's employment file contains 3 previous discrimination complaints. All were settled quietly by corporate, costing the company approximately $430,000 in legal fees and damages. The board members exchanged uncomfortable glances. Patricia Foster spoke first, her voice barely above a whisper. We weren't aware of the previous incidents. Which brings us to systemic accountability, Rachel continued, her tone becoming more pointed. How does a general manager accumulate multiple discrimination complaints without board oversight? How does this behavior become normalized, accepted, even protected? Silence stretched across the room like a physical weight. Board member Stephen Cooper, who had served on the property board for 13 years, fidgeted with his pen. His involvement in previous cover-ups was becoming uncomfortably apparent. Nathan, please outline our immediate liability exposure in specific terms. Martinez consulted his notes, his voice clinical and precise. Federal civil rights violation under Section 1981, potential 7-figure fine. State discrimination penalties up to $550,000 per incident. Private lawsuit damages conservatively $2 to $5 million given the viral nature and documented emotional distress factors. He paused, letting the numbers sink in. That's before we consider class action potential if other victims come forward. Board member Cooper paled noticeably. Other victims. Thompson's pattern suggests this wasn't isolated, Rachel explained coldly. Our preliminary investigation identified at least 7 similar incidents over the past 4 years. All buried, all covered up, all creating ongoing liability. She clicked to a detailed financial analysis. Total exposure if all incidents become public, estimated 16 to 27 million in settlements, legal fees, and punitive damages. The room's temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. Cooper finally found his voice. What's your proposal for resolution? Rachel stood, commanding the room's attention with absolute authority. Complete structural reform. Thompson and Hayes are terminated immediately, effective now. All severance packages voided under Section 13.4. That's within your authority as controlling shareholder, Patricia confirmed nervously. Martinez and Williams, the security guards, will undergo mandatory bias training and sensitivity counseling. Failure to complete successfully results in termination. Their actions, while following orders, still constituted assault under Tennessee law. She clicked to a detailed implementation slide. New hearing protocol. All management positions require bias awareness certification from accredited institutions. Monthly sensitivity audits conducted by external firms with civil rights expertise. Guest complaint system with direct reporting to corporate compliance, bypassing local management entirely. Cooper studied the proposals, calculating costs in his head. The expense of these reforms is significantly less than ongoing discrimination lawsuits. Rachel cut him off. Implementation budget, $420,000 annually across all properties. Average lawsuit settlement, $800,000 to $2 million per incident. Basic mathematics, Mr. Cooper. The financial logic was undeniable even to the most resistant board members. Furthermore, Rachel continued, we're implementing the Hospitality First protocol. Every guest interaction begins with the assumption of legitimacy and belonging. Staff must verify concerns through established verification procedures before taking any exclusionary action. Nathan Martinez added, Legal has drafted updated employee handbooks, comprehensive training modules, and anonymous reporting procedures. All current staff must complete certification within 61 days or face immediate termination. Board member Park raised her hand tentatively. What about the media situation? How do we address the viral nature of this incident, the damage to our brand reputation? Rachel smiled grimly. We don't fight the narrative. We own it completely. By 6 o'clock this evening, Royal Paradise Hotels will issue a comprehensive public statement acknowledging the discrimination, announcing the immediate terminations, and detailing our extensive reform initiatives. That seems like admitting legal guilt, Davis protested, his lawyer instincts kicking in. We are guilty, Rachel replied with brutal honesty. Denying obvious reality captured by 98,000 witnesses only amplifies the damage exponentially. Authentic accountability builds long-term trust and credibility. She clicked to a comprehensive PR strategy developed by her communications team. Full transparency, live stream footage will not be suppressed or challenged. Media interviews will be granted to major outlets. We'll partner with established civil rights organizations to validate our reform efforts publicly. Patricia Foster nodded approvingly, beginning to see the strategic brilliance. That's actually brilliant. Turn the negative attention into positive change momentum. Exactly. The narrative becomes, hotel faces discrimination crisis, immediately terminates perpetrators, implements industry-leading reforms. We become the standard for accountability. Cooper looked skeptical. His concerns focused on broader implications. What if other properties in our chain have similar systemic issues? Then we address them proactively and transparently, Rachel said firmly. Nathan's legal team will conduct comprehensive bias audits at all 59 Royal Paradise properties within 91 days. Any discrimination patterns will be immediately corrected with full public disclosure. The scope of reform was staggering, but the alternative, ongoing liability and reputation destruction, was clearly worse. Martinez distributed additional financial documents. Here's the complete cost-benefit analysis. Reform implementation costs approximately $24 million across all properties over 3 years. Projected lawsuit avoidance savings, $62 to $83 million annually in reduced legal exposure. The return on investment was mathematically compelling. One final element, Rachel said, her voice carrying absolute finality. Thompson's termination will be completely public. His discriminatory actions were public, witnessed by nearly 100,000 people in real time. His consequences must be equally visible and permanent. Davis winced visibly. That destroys his career permanently across the entire industry. His actions destroyed his career permanently, Rachel corrected with ice-cold precision. We're simply ensuring the consequences match the visibility and severity of his choices. She turned to address the entire board directly. Every person in this room holds moral and legal responsibility for the toxic culture that enabled Thompson's behavior to flourish. Previous complaints were systematically buried instead of properly addressed. Warning signs were deliberately ignored for years. That institutional failure ends today. The conference room fell silent, except for the soft hum of air conditioning and distant traffic from the city below. Patricia Foster broke the heavy silence, all in favor of Ms. Morgan's comprehensive reform proposal. 8 hands rose around the table without hesitation. The vote was unanimous. Motion carries unanimously, Patricia announced formally. Ms. Morgan, you have full board authorization to implement immediate and comprehensive reforms. Rachel nodded, then activated her phone with decisive authority. Nathan, please notify legal to begin Thompson's immediate termination process. Security should escort him from the building within the hour. Already in progress, Martinez confirmed efficiently. Hayes has also been officially notified of her immediate termination. Board Member Park leaned forward. What's our precise timeline for public announcement? Press release goes live at 6 o'clock sharp, Rachel replied. I'll conduct interviews with major outlets at 7. Full transparency, complete accountability, no corporate spin. Cooper looked impressed despite his initial resistance. You've turned a potential catastrophe into a transformative reform opportunity. Leadership means taking responsibility and driving meaningful change, Rachel said simply. Today's incident was unfortunate but not unprecedented in this industry. Our response will be. She closed her briefcase and stood with final authority. The acquisition is complete, reforms are authorized, and accountability is underway. This property will become the industry standard for inclusive hospitality. Patricia Foster stood as well. Ms. Morgan, on behalf of the entire board, thank you for handling this crisis with such decisive and principled leadership. Rachel paused at the conference room door. This wasn't a crisis. This was clarity. Today, everyone learned that discrimination has real consequences, and those consequences are no longer negotiable. She opened the door to find Thompson waiting in the hallway, flanked by security guards and legal representatives. His face was ashen, his 16-year career reduced to a cardboard box of personal belongings. "Gerald," Rachel said quietly but firmly, "your termination is effective immediately. You have 31 minutes to exit the property permanently." Thompson's voice cracked with desperation. "Rachel, Ms. Morgan, I know I made mistakes, but surely we can." "You made deliberate choices," she corrected with finality. "Those choices have consequences." Today, nearly 100,000 people witnessed those consequences in real time. Thompson nodded slowly, finally understanding that no appeal would change his irreversible fate. As he walked toward the elevator, escorted by security, Rachel turned back to the conference room. "The real work begins now," she told the board. "Changing institutional culture requires more than firing bad actors. It requires building comprehensive systems that prevent them from succeeding in the first place." The Royal Paradise Hotel would never be the same, and that was exactly the point. Within 3 hours, the Royal Paradise Hotel underwent the fastest corporate transformation in hospitality history. Rachel Morgan's reforms weren't just policy changes. They were systematic demolition of institutional discrimination. Thompson's termination became a public spectacle. Security escorted him through the same lobby where he'd humiliated Rachel, past the same guests who'd recorded his downfall. His cardboard box of belongings seemed pathetically small compared to his massive fall from grace. Local news crews captured every step. Thompson's face, streamed live to millions, became the definitive image of accountability in corporate America. No statements, no excuses, just the long walk of consequences. Hayes followed 31 minutes later, her 9-year career ending in identical disgrace. The woman who'd blocked Rachel's entrance now couldn't look at the cameras documenting her exit. Martinez and Williams, the security guards, faced different fates. Both men had families, mortgages, and genuine remorse for their role in the incident. Rachel's reform included second chances, conditional on complete bias training and public apology. "We followed orders," Martinez admitted to Foster's still streaming audience, now at 128,000 viewers. "But following orders doesn't excuse threatening an innocent person. We were wrong." Williams nodded beside him. "Ms. Morgan showed us grace we didn't deserve. We'll earn back that trust through actions, not words." The Hospitality First protocol launched immediately. New signs appeared throughout the hotel. "Every guest belongs here. Verification before assumption. Dignity always." Rachel's communications team worked with surgical precision. The 6 o'clock press release didn't minimize or deflect. It acknowledged reality with brutal honesty. "Royal Paradise Hotels failed today. Our staff discriminated against our own CEO based solely on her race. This failure is unacceptable, inexcusable, and will never happen again." The statement detailed Thompson's firing, Hayes' termination, and comprehensive reforms. No corporate speak, no liability protection, just raw accountability that shocked the business world. Major news outlets picked up the story within minutes. CNN, NBC, and Fox all led with the same narrative. Hotel CEO fires staff who discriminated against her. But Rachel's masterstroke was partnering with civil rights organizations. The NAACP, Urban League, and Southern Poverty Law Center all endorsed Royal Paradise's reforms as industry-leading accountability. Dr. Angela Roberts from the Civil Rights Institute praised the response during a live CNN interview. Ms. Morgan could have pursued massive lawsuits. Instead, she chose systematic change. This is leadership. The hotel's transformation was immediate and visible. New staff training began that evening. Diverse hearing initiatives launched overnight. Guest feedback systems activated instantly. Patricia Foster, representing the board, issued her own statement. "Today we learned that silence enables discrimination. Royal Paradise will never be silent again." Social media response split along predictable lines, but the numbers told the story. Positive sentiment climbed from 14% to 68% within hours. Booking cancellations stopped. Corporate clients began inquiring about events. Marcus Turner, the blogger who'd covered the initial incident, published a follow-up. "I've covered hospitality for 16 years. I've never seen accountability this swift, this complete, this authentic." Foster's live stream, still active after 9 hours, had reached 2.4 million total viewers. Her commentary evolved from shock to admiration. "This is how you handle crisis. Own it, fix it, never repeat it." The financial markets responded positively too. Royal Paradise's stock, which had dropped 5.1% during the incident, recovered completely and closed up 2.3%. Investors rewarded authenticity and decisive leadership. But the real test came from unexpected sources. Guests of color who'd avoided Royal Paradise properties for years due to reputation began making reservations. Corporate diversity officers recommended the hotel for company events. Rachel's evening press conference, conducted in the same lobby where she'd been humiliated, became a masterclass in crisis leadership. This incident revealed systemic problems we can no longer ignore. Discrimination thrives in silence and dies in sunlight. Today we chose sunlight. Questions from reporters were direct, sometimes hostile, but Rachel answered everything with calm transparency. "Will you sue for discrimination?" "No, lawsuits don't change culture. Systems do." "What about your personal feelings?" "My feelings matter less than ensuring this never happens to anyone else." "Is this a publicity stunt?" Ask the 98,000 people who watched discrimination in real time if this was planned. The most powerful moment came when a young black girl in the audience raised her hand. "Miss Morgan, will hotels be safe for people who look like me now?" Rachel knelt to the child's eye level. "Sweetheart, you belong everywhere your dreams take you, and now everyone knows it." The image, CEO comforting child, both black, both dignified, became iconic instantly. By midnight, Royal Paradise's transformation was complete. New policies active, new staff hired, new culture emerging. Thompson's LinkedIn profile showed former GM with no new opportunities. Hayes' hospitality career effectively ended. Their choices had permanent consequences. But Martinez and Williams began their training program, determined to prove second chances matter. The viral incident that could have destroyed careers instead created a model for accountability. Change had come to Royal Paradise hotels, and the entire industry was watching. 7 months later, the Royal Paradise Hotel became a case study in Harvard Business School, Stanford's Graduate School of Business, and Cornell's Hotel Administration program. The incident that began with humiliation transformed into a blueprint for corporate accountability. Rachel Morgan's approach spawned industry-wide changes. 13 major hotel chains implemented similar hospitality-first protocols. The American Hotel and Lodging Association created the Morgan Standard, mandatory bias training for all hospitality management. Thompson never worked in hospitality again. His LinkedIn remained dormant, his reputation permanently damaged by 98,000 witnesses. Hayes took a job in retail. Her hotel career ended by 31 minutes of recorded prejudice. But Martinez and Williams became success stories. Both completed advanced bias training, earned diversity certifications, and were promoted to security supervisors. Their public redemption arc inspired other organizations to embrace second chances over permanent punishment. The financial results spoke louder than any moral victory. Royal Paradise's revenue increased 24% as diverse travelers chose properties that demonstrated authentic inclusion. Corporate bookings rose 32% as companies sought venues aligned with their values. Foster's livestream generated 49 million total views across platforms. She leveraged her viral fame into a social justice documentary career, her first film focusing on everyday discrimination in service industries. The real impact emerged in countless untold stories. Black business travelers no longer steeled themselves for hotel confrontations. Families of color chose royal paradise properties with confidence. Young hospitality students saw leadership that looked like them. These touching stories and real-life experiences demonstrated that individual courage could create systemic change. Rachel's calm response to institutional racism became required viewing in business ethics courses nationwide. Professional development programs cited her example. Power used constructively rather than destructively, strategic thinking over emotional reaction, systemic reform instead of personal revenge. The viral moment also inspired legislative action. Tennessee passed the Hotel Accountability Act, requiring bias reporting and transparency in hospitality discrimination incidents. Other states followed with similar legislation. Life stories like Rachel's proved that preparation, professionalism, and principles could overcome prejudice. Her dignified response became a template for marginalized leaders facing institutional barriers. But perhaps the most meaningful change was cultural. The phrase "someone like you" disappeared from Royal Paradise staff vocabulary. The assumption of belonging replaced the assumption of otherness. Black stories, particularly stories of quiet strength triumphing over loud hatred, resonated across communities. Rachel's example showed that true power came from lifting others while standing firm in your own worth. The incident taught America that discrimination has costs: financial, reputational, and moral. But it also demonstrated that accountability creates opportunity for genuine progress. Today, Royal Paradise Hotels leads the industry in diversity metrics, guest satisfaction among travelers of color, and corporate social responsibility ratings. The transformation from viral shame to industry leadership took precisely the time Rachel predicted, just long enough for systems to replace symptoms. Her story became legend not because she destroyed her opponents, but because she chose to rebuild the entire foundation. Have you ever experienced discrimination that made you question your worth? Share your story in the comments below. Your voice matters, and change happens when we speak truth together. If this story inspired you, please share it with someone who needs to see what's possible when dignity meets determination. Subscribe for more inspiring tales of resilience, justice, and triumph that prove our community's strength is unstoppable. Hit that notification bell because everyone deserves to know their power, regardless of who tries to diminish it. Where are you from? Tell us in the comments below. And if you're loving this story, hit that like button and subscribe for more.